What up, class? Oh, I'm just gonna play around with Vim for a minute, do some goofy stuff starting out, so don't be confused, it's just for fun. Zero, okay, so insert, so I'm gonna hit I to get in insert mode when I'm in Vim. This is just gonna insert wherever my cursor is. So I'm gonna type 0x00, let's say. I'm gonna hit escape to get back to what I call navigation mode. Because if you hit a colon or shift semicolon, you'll come down here into like an EX buffer. I kind of think of this as extended ed is the way I like to think about it. So think of your keys that you'd be able to use in ed, you could use in here, let's say, kind of similar anyway. And then of course you probably heard of sed and aug. So sed, it's like super ed, let's say. Now I'm in escape mode right here, and I'm just going to goof around real quick. So let's see if I can even do this. I'm going to write a macro, and to start writing a macro, I'm going to hit Q, and then I'm going to give it a number or a letter or whatever, like a key. So Q, C just is going to name my macro C, let's say. I'm going to hit V to get in visual mode. I'm going to hit B to go back a word, well, back to the front of the word in this case, and then I'm going to hit Y. What that did was put me in visual mode, highlight the word, and then copy it. So I'm going to hit $sign to get to the end of the line. I'm going to hit A to insert, would insert before the 0, but I want to insert after the 0, so I'm going to hit A to append, insert after, and now I'm going to hit space because I want a space there. I'll hit escape to get back to, let's say, normal mode that some people call it. And now if I hit P, it's going to copy or paste what I just yanked with Y, which is putting it on the clipboard. So think of yanking in Vim as yanking something and put it in the clipboard, let's say. Vim's clipboard here. So finally I'm going to hit P to paste. Now I'm going to hit Control A to increment this number. Now I think I want to save my macro, let's say. So I'm going to hit Q. And this just saved my macro as C, which I named it in the beginning. And then now if I hit 2, and then to call my macro, I hit the @sign, and then I'm going to hit C. So 2 made that macro run twice. All right, so now I'm going to start another macro. So let's say I say Q to start a new macro. The other one I called C for count, let's say, because it's counting. Now I'm going to say R for rows, let's say, so I'll hit R. And now it says I'm recording, and it's recording R. So here I'm going to hit O. What O does is drop me to the next line in insert mode. I could hit A, enter, but O is faster. So hit O. That's in insert mode, which I don't want to be, so I'm going to hit escape. And I just realized I messed my macro up. So I'm going to hit P to paste. And then I'm going to hit Q to quit because I just messed up. All right? No big deal. DD is going to delete this line. I'm going to hit $sign to get back where I want to be. I'm going to start recording my R macro again by hitting Q, R. I'm recording my macro. Now I'm going to do something similar as before. Hit V to get in visual mode. Hit B to go back to the beginning of this word. Hit Y to yank this into Vim's clipboard. Now what I want to do is hit O like I did before to open a new line. I'm going to hit escape to get out of input mode, let's say. And then I'm going to hit P to paste what I just had there, which is going to be the 3. Now I want to hit Control A to increment that. Now my macro is still running, and so what I want to do is do what I did before. So this macro is going to call my other macro. And so I'm going to say, and I want to do this, 3 times? So we're going to say 3, and then we're going to hit the @sign, and then we're going to call the C macro. @'s calling it, and C, I'm giving it the name that I want to call, which is C, so I hit C. Now, I'm pretty sure I want to quit my macro. So if I didn't mess up, I hit Q, that macro saved. So now, usually we count these in 8s for some reason, so there's 2 lines already. So let's just say 6 @R. And what that did was ran that R macro 6 times, and it was calling the other one. And notice because I put 0x0, Vim just thinks I want to count in hex, so I put these numbers in hex. Okay, so I can use the arrow keys, no big deal, left, right, up, down. But I can also hit K to go up, J to go down, H to go left, L to go right, B to go back a word like I was doing for earlier, W to go forward a word. I can say GG to get to the top, and I can hit Shift G to get to the end. I can say 4 capital G to get to the 4th line, and what Mr. P taught me the other day that I never knew is I can hit GG to go to the front of the line like I just did, and instead of hitting 4 capital G, I can just hit 4 GG, and it'll go to the 4th line, which is faster for me, so thank you very much. Alright, so this also say, doesn't matter where I'm at, right? I'll say forward, or space, let's say. Now remember, $sign to go to the end of the line, 0 to get to the front of the line, $sign to get to the end of the line, and the caret key above the 6, Shift 6, the caret key, is going to take me to the first non-white space line. If this is some type of indentation, and sometimes it'll work different. And also know that in different Vims, I might as well show you this now, you can go like this and type. So what did I do? I hit escape to get out of that. So colon, and that puts me in Emacs Mode, is what I call it. I don't know. I just learned all this stuff, and I can't tell you if anything I'm saying is correct, but version. It's going to show me the stuff that this particular Vim that I'm using on this machine was installed with, let's say. So you can see I could use a mouse in this one, and then there's these things called text objects. So I'll demonstrate that in a minute, but if text objects was a minus sign right here, then I wouldn't be able to do some of the stuff that I want to show you, let's say. And it doesn't kind of matter, but in some ways it does, because I know people who use this that never have to use H, J's, K's, B's, or W's, and it's pretty cool. I'm not that advanced, so I could just hit escape to get out of here, let's say. But just know, like, these are different things that are turned on and off. The plus signs are on, the minus signs are off. So TCL, programming language, tool command language, or tickle is what like people like to call it. So I'll hit escape to get out of there. I think I could hit enter to get out of there too, it said. Now, although $sign goes to the end of the line and the caret goes to the front of the line without white space, let's say before, like after the white space, I can hit DW or to delete those, right? Because I was deleting the word that was spaces, I guess you could say. I'm going to go GG and then W to go to the next one. Oh, let me say 2W will go forward 2 words. 2B will go backwards 2 words. J goes down, but 5J would take me down 5 lines. So if I was to come down here, let's say, you can see it over here. I don't necessarily care if I mess that up, but maybe I do. Oh, what I wanted to show you before I started saying that was GG to go to the front, right? And then WW. And then in Vim, you have this thing called visual mode. So if I hit V right here, then I can start using the arrow keys, let's say, but I don't really use those much. So L is going to go this way, and H is going to go this way. But this is like if I was dragging with my mouse. So if I was to come over here and drag with my mouse, normally you're going to hit J, and you know that's how your mouse normally highlights stuff. And all I want to do is highlight this one row that I'm on, let's say. So I can hit escape to get out of visual mode. Before I show you that, I hit Shift V. And Shift V, no matter what line I'm on, it's going to start highlighting by lines. So I can hit J and K. I can hit Shift G to go to the bottom of the file, or GG to go to the top of the file. If I hit W, L, A, H, whatever, oh, you know, I just noticed that it's covering all this stuff up. Sorry, but this is like in WSL inside Windows. And for some reason, my Vim does that. I don't know if the color scheme would even help. Let me get out of there and see if I can just change the color, if it'll still act like that. If I hit Shift, there we go, that's better. I got so used to it, I don't even care. I didn't even notice it was doing it. Just in this particular machine that I'm on anyway. So, oops. Now, your terminal can intercept this, because whatever terminal you're in might have some kind of properties, and there might be some shortcut somewhere. This one right here is using WSL. It's just using the default thing when I run Debian. So I could say WSL, and it's going to start it up in this weird one, which it's just, I guess, like a default WSL install that installs whenever you run it. I think it's an Ubuntu. But then you can run, like, I have my own version of Ubuntu on here, let's say. And then now I'm running an Ubuntu one, but I just prefer Debian, let's say. And then you'll see, like, for me, I'm using Control Shift V and C to copy and paste because I don't want Control V to intercept what I'm doing on here, I guess you could say. So with that said, you could be an iTerm or whatever, UXRVT, whatever you're doing your stuff in, that terminal could like for instance KDE or GNOME could be intercepting your Control V, but since mine's not, I can hit Control V and then I can start highlighting by the actual column here. So I can get rid of that by hitting D, let's say, U to undo, Control R to redo, U to undo. And then the same thing can happen if I was to come down here and hit Control V. Now if I was to hit Shift G, for whatever reason, Shift G is going to take me down to the last line inside the first row, let's say, right? But right here I can start coming over, but I can also just hit the W's, and then I get this far. Or I probably could hit E to get to the end of that. So if I'm right here, I hit E, it goes to the end of the word, instead of jumping to the next word, let's say. Now, I is insert mode, but if I hit I here, it would only insert in one spot. So what I'm going to do now is, let's just say I come over here, and then there was 8 lines, right? So I can hit 8K. Oops, and then I'm in the regular V mode, right? So let's go back down to the bottom over there, just so I can show what I was trying to do a minute ago. I got my keys on the wrong thing, I think. Delete that line. I can hit 3E maybe and get right here. And then I can hit Control V, and then I'll just hit 8K, let's say. And then I'm going to hit B to go back. Now I'm going to type Control I instead of, not Control I, Shift I. So instead of I to insert, which would only insert where my cursor is, Shift I. And then I can say like, hello here, for instance, space. When I hit escape, it'll add that whole line, that whole row sitting right there. So U to undo that, because that's not too useful, let's say. But let's say I wanted to comment this out because this was some type of code or something. Then here I would say Control V, and then here I just hit Shift G real quick. Now Control I, and then whatever language I'm in, let's say it uses a pound sign to comment stuff out. And then that's a way to really quickly comment out a bunch of lines, let's say. So I'll U to undo this. Now, I showed you macro, so whoop-de-doo. Now what we could say is, well, let's just say I was to hit, okay, so E, go to the end of the word. Oh, here's something I'll show you. I was trying to show you earlier, but I didn't want to distract myself. So I'll say, hello, and I just forgot what I was going to say. Hello. Well, I'll show you something else anyway. Hello. I am saying hello. Hello. And then I'll just copy that twice, let's say. Well, I could say YY to copy the whole line. And then P to paste that. I could say 3P to paste it 3 times. The same way I could hit like 3E to go forward that. I could, Control A. Or Shift A. So A is to pin. So right here where my cursor is, if I say A, I'm going to go after my cursor and start inputting stuff, right? If I come back here and then I hit I, I'm going to do it before the E. So keeping that in mind, if I hit Shift I, capital I, then I'm going to go to the front of the line, but it automatically puts me in insert mode. And then where $sign's the end of the line, 0 is the front of the line. Shift I was to start inserting at the front of the line. Shift A is to start inserting jumps to the end of the line and puts me in insert mode so I can type some more, let's say. Okay, and then now there's some things you could target with, let's say. So here, if I hit T and then I hit the single quote, I'm going to jump to the right before the single quote, right? And so if I hit Shift T and hit single quote, I'll jump right to the other end of the quote right here. And the same way I'm doing stuff, I can hit D to delete something. If I hit DW, it'll delete 1 word. If I hit D2W, it'll delete 2 words. I can hit D2J, it's going to delete the line I'm on and 2 lines down. But if I come over here and I hit D, and I'm going to target T, that single quote sitting over here. Then DT, single quote. I don't know what I hit a second ago. It deletes everything inside this, right? Now I can hit undo for this. There's another way to do this, which is C, right? And then I'm going to say I to insert, and then I'm going to say to the single quote. And then now I could type some stuff in here, right? So that's another way to do that. But keep in mind, that's the text objects I was talking about earlier. So if your Vim happens to not be installed with that, then, oh, that's not text objects. This is text objects. And this time, instead of hitting escape, I'll just hit enter to get out of that. Then the CIWs wouldn't work, but the BTs, the T's would. So that's a lower level command, I guess you could say. But with the CIWs, you can attack paragraphs and sentences and all kinds of stuff. Okay, so that's just bare minimum things I can think of off the top of my head. So let's get into something a little more complicated, which would be on this right here. That's why I typed that one line different than the rest of them down there. Was if I was to come over here, let's say, and I put a space here and hit escape, this will let me come over here and Control V down here. And then if I hit Shift I, Control V, I don't know why I said that. I hit Control V and then went down. Yes, I did actually. And then I'm going to BI because I'm Shift I hope I hit, and then I type BR and then hit escape. If I hit Shift I instead of I, see how it added all those? And let's just say, oops, I messed up and I didn't want those. Control V 8K, and then here it's just one character, so I can hit X. I guess that's another thing to cover too. And then now if I was saving this to an HTML file, let's say, then it automatically have all those BRs there. So I can undo that stuff and undo that because I don't care about it. Oh, I almost forgot. So X is delete the character that I'm on, right? But Shift X is to delete the character behind me. And so if I wanted to swap two characters out real quick, I could just do that and then hit P, and then notice that they got swapped. So if I say Shift X, delete that, then delete this, and then hit P. Oops. Undo that, and then, well, now because I messed that one up, but whatever. I guess I already did it one time anyway, right? But Shift X, and then X, and then P. No, Shift X, P maybe. I'm used to doing this by muscle memory, so trying to talk about it's crazy. So if I want to delete, like, switch these two around, it should be Shift XP, Shift XP, Shift XP, Shift XP. And then if I was to say X, though, and then P, it switched the other two around. And now to switch those two around, I had to say Shift XP, let's say. Oh my goodness. I don't know why I tried to write that file. What? My Tmux comp is getting overwritten here? That really sucks. Can I undo all the way to the beginning of this file, or did I already mess it up? Why am I editing a tmux.conf? Well, I guess I'll have to fix... Well, I don't even think it matters because I don't care about this machine, I guess. This Debian install. But yeah, you don't want to be messing with the wrong file, I guess. I didn't even know I was doing that. Oh, I think I was going to create one. So I was going to create one earlier for another machine. I'm on the wrong machine anyway, so who cares? So I didn't mean to undo all that, I guess. Can I Control R all that stuff back together? Know that there's different levels to undo in Vim. So you could also like go in your vimrc and tell it after I close the file, don't keep the history, and then you could go back in that same file, let's say, and then start undoing their stuff and go back in there. But I don't have that turned on, so when I close, it's just it's over. So I'll just keep messing with this Tmux file because it doesn't matter. Do I want to say about Tmux before I even get into other stuff? Okay, so Tmux is a terminal multiplexer. And the reason I'm in this file all to begin with is because I'm actually on not my local machine right now. So I can explain this real quick. A lot of people don't nest tmuxes, but I don't want to get away from Vim yet because I'm not done. Okay, so actually I don't. Before I get into Tmux at all, let me just show you something else real quick because I'll forget. And, blah, hal, ola. Doesn't matter what I'm typing here. YYP, just make some stuff different. And then if I was to say DWP, just so this line looks a little bit different than the others. Let's say if I want to mess with these for some reason. There's this EX mode down here, right? And before I was using the Control V to start doing stuff, but maybe you're NVI or something, and those commands don't even exist. So keep in mind too, if just the VI commands are gonna, so GG goes to the top, Shift G goes to the bottom, but if I was actually in VI, GG doesn't exist, so I'd hit 1 Shift G to get to that line. You could say like set new for numbers, you can type it out, but you can just say set new, and it'll put numbers there. You can set no new, and it'll get rid of those guys right there too. And then down here to this thing, so I'm gonna hit, well, how should I teach this? So at least some of these will be like this. Let's say hello, hello. I'll just do it like this, and then I'll just say paste that 4 times. Now let's say I wanted to change only the first hellos on each line to something else. There's different ways we could do this, like I just showed, but down here I could just come over here and I could say, well, here's one way to do it. I could do it to the whole file. So %s is going to do it to the whole file. So even these hellos up here are going to get nailed. But let's just say I want to do it to these. Ooh, because I exited out of there. Let me change my color scheme back to at least something that highlights correctly. So I'll just start at the bottom. And then if I was to go up, so I hit Shift. So in that case, I hit Shift V to do the whole line, right? And then I'm going to say 4K and go up here. Now, if I go to the colon and I say S is going to, let's just say substitute, and then I'm going to put a slash, and then I want to change all the hellos that are highlighted that are the first hello, and I'll say like bye, let's say for instance, and then that just changed all those, and the matches you see right there is just highlighting the match because I searched for hello earlier, so it's matching anywhere it says that. And so right here I can just say no highlight, and I'll get rid of that if I wanted it gone for some reason, let's say. Now I'm going to hit undo to undo that, and I'm going to go back to the command modes that I call this. So EX mode, I just call it command mode, let's say. And I'm going to hit the, what was it, colon, let's say. And then here I can hit Control P or up arrow. So like up and down arrows. But it's cool because Vim's going to start using Emacs commands here down in this little thing, which I really like. I wish all the Vim browsers, when I was in input mode, switched to Emacs mode like this is doing. Now earlier I switched the first hello on each line to be this. So if I put a G there, you just think of it as global, but the highlight, like right here, it's saying whatever I highlighted before, and notice it's not highlighted anymore. So it didn't do exactly what I wanted to do. So no H to get rid of that highlight, let's say. So in this particular case, the last time I did the highlight. And so when I came down here, that's these weird little, it's just saying from where the highlight starts to the highlight ends. And you can use line numbers in here also. But in this case, I want to do it to the whole file, let's say. So I'm just going to go back into command mode or EX mode, the colon right there. And then I'll say %s, which means the whole file. Then take all the hellos and turn them to bye. This does the first one, but if I put a G here, every hello per each line is going to change to bye now. And so now I can hit escape. Now I think that's all I really want to show inside here, because what's really important to me is don't just think that your Vim keys are inside Vim. Actually, I can show you this too. So right now I'm inside another server. So this is even on my local machine. I compile Tmux on here, so I can type Tmux. Now if you notice, the two Tmux bars are both the same color, and that happens to be why I was in the tmux.conf earlier, because I don't want ever my Tmux bars to be the same color for personal reasons. The bottom one right now is my local machine, and the top one is the server, let's say. And for now, I'm just going to leave them green because it's more confusing, but it doesn't have to be confusing at all. So in a minute, I'll show you Tmux, but just know I'm running inside 2 Tmuxes at the moment, and I'll try to demonstrate that in a minute. But now I'm on the server, this particular server right here, let's say. And if I say set -o vi, what I just did was set my bash And it's not the best way to tell, but the easy way to tell is I'm in bash right now. Sometimes this isn't always true, but for this particular case, in most cases, unless you're doing something funky, it can be true. Let's say. Now, so I'm in bash, right? And I set my mode to VI, so I'm going to hit escape. And now if I hit JK, right, this is like going up and down in my history. JK is, usually that's Control P and Control N, right? But now it's J and K. So I hit escape. If I wanted to get rid of this, then I hit DD to delete. If I want to start actually inserting commands, I want to hit I. And then now that I just hit I can actually type ls-al, let's say, for instance. Okay. Control L. Oh, I have that turned off on here for the moment. So we can just type clear then. We'll clear the screen. A lot of times Control L will too. So just know, like if I was to type blah, 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 let's say, and then I could say why that, or in this case DD, but that's actually just got yanked in my clipboard, so I can hit P to put it back. I could also hit U to undo, and Control R is going to go to my reverse search. So in this particular case, bash is overriding what the actual VI command would normally do, let's say. So I'll hit escape to get out of there. Reverse search is how you search in your history backwards, let's say. And then now though, that we saw that, well, we can hit I and put some more stuff in here. 0 front of the line, $sign to end the line, B to go backward, 2, once again, 2W would go forward, but because I'm in VI mode, this is something that bash is catching again, so I'll hit escape. I couldn't tell you DD to delete this crap. I never run my terminal in that. I did for a while, but it was so many years ago just to test it out. I'm going to turn it back to Emacs mode because this is a default. So even if you don't know, you're actually using kind of Emacs-ish commands. So once again here, now, let me detach. So right now, if I wanted to detach from my server that I'm in, I would hit Control BBD. This is a Tmux command. Sorry, I'm jumping between these things, but I want to show you this particular command outside of Tmux real fast. This is where being inside Screener Tmux can get annoying, could be annoying, especially if you're inside Emacs, let's say. So, but if I say Control BD, it'll detach from my Debian terminal. And notice it went away because I was just running that inside there. It probably shouldn't have done that. There we go. I don't know what that was. So I guess it freaked out Debian. But notice I just started it back up and then Tmux is still sitting there. So now I'm outside of Tmux. Notice that both those green bars are disappeared now. And then here's where I could hit Control L. And it clears my screen but leaves what I had sitting there. Now what I wanted to show you is because I'm in Emacs mode normally. If I'm going to hit Control A, I go to the front of the line. If I'm going to hit Control E, I go to the end of the line. If I hit Alt B, I go backward. If I hit Alt F, I go forward. If I hit Control B, I go back a letter. And if I hit Control F, I go forward a letter, right? So, why does that matter? Control K, different terminals are going to do this stuff different way, but like this is saying bash, different shells, let's say. If I hit Control K, U was to undo inside a bash mode, but Control Shift underscore is undo inside Emacs, let's say. There's another one called Control XU, which I don't think works in bash, but if I was in Z shell, it would be working, let's say. So if I want to delete to the front of the line, I hit Control U. And a lot of times in some systems you can do that whenever you're typing the password in wrong, but some systems don't do that whenever you're typing your password in. So now if I was to say Control Shift underscore it twice to undo that stuff, in Emacs, just know there is no Control U, which sometimes in some terminals, if I come right here and I hit Control U, it's going to delete the whole entire line. And in other ones, it's going to delete, like Control K went to the end of the line, right? Control U, if I was to go back, Alt B, Control U will delete to the front of the line. But there's some shells I've been inside that when you hit Control U, it just deletes the whole line. So keep that in mind. So if I say Control Shift underscore to delete that again, in Emacs, the easiest way to do this, and in Bash 2 is a possible way is Control A, Control K. So just keep that in mind. So that's some VI stuff. Do I want to get into Emacs before I show you other stuff? Let's just show this because notice I'm inside sandboxy. That's what this little pound sign means. Or one of these got less stuff in it than the other one? No. So I'm just going to do it again. Start Firefox. It just starts it inside. And then this is like sandboxy was kind of discontinued or quit being worked on for a while, but some dudes picked it up. I don't know how much stuff they're doing, but just know if you ever mess with this, the icons change. Because usually if I came over here and right-click sandboxy, then this icon would actually be down here. And when I right-click it, I can delete my stuff. But here, it's not left-clicking this, but right-clicking this, because left-clicking would open up that sandbox files and stuff. So I could say delete contents. It would close all my Firefoxes and revert them back to how Firefox runs. So this is outside of sandboxy. See, there's no yellow thing up here. So see the little yellow bar up here if you can. I don't know, but there's a little yellow. Maybe if I go like this, you'll see there's this yellow thing going around it. Just lets me know I'm inside there. That way I can always just delete everything out of there. What I wanted to show though was this. So since I'm in Firefox, I could say Firefox. What will they be like? Vim plugin, let's just call it. And then this one right here. I haven't used this in so many years. There's tons of these. There's one called Vimperator. There's just, they come and go. This one's been around for a while. I've actually used it many, many years ago. So I'll just install it in here. It doesn't really matter to me because as soon as I delete that sandbox, it'll go away. And then I want to say like in this one, you can hit Shift question mark. Do I have to escape? Shift question mark. I have to open up a new tab. And then go to Google and Shift question mark. Outside of an input box. There we go. Sorry, but it's been a while since I used this. And then escape to get out of there. There's the commands. I'll show them in a minute. Maybe if I have to look one up. But now, if I hit F, what this does is it highlights all the links on the page, let's say. And then if I hit F again, it's going to put me inside the input box. And a lot of these work kind of weird, but whatever. The way Vim was using the Emacs commands down in the EX bar or the command mode bar, I wish one of these guys would come out with, or extend their plugins, let's say, to be anytime I'm in navigation mode, move around with Vim keys, but anytime inside an input box, move around in Emacs keys. That way when I hit Control A instead of highlighting it, it would have moved me to the front of the letter, and I could hit front of the row and I could hit Control K. But nobody's done this so far that I know of. So all you guys making these, that's something to do for me. Input boxes, make them Emacs commands. The rest of the stuff, make it whatever. So I just type test because who knows what I'm trying to look for. Now J, K will go up and down. I want to say D will go down. U will go up. To search stuff is the slash, kind of like in Vim. So let's just say I was looking for wiki on this page. And then if I hit enter, then where that link was, let's say. And then if I hit F, that will take me that. So if I hit FL, it'll take me that page. I want to say like GT will go forward to tabs. So you can switch tabs. Maybe like GN. There's different ones. There's all these different browsers. Some of them are like Alt-2 will go to the next one over here, Alt-1 and go back and forth. And so probably like GT and Shift-G. Oh, this is the one that's not working. So I'm like, why is it not working? So I'm going to hit Control-W to get out of that tab because the tab you're in when you install it, it's not going to work. So T, just hit T, it opens up a new tab, right? And where I hit F earlier, and it took me on that link, if I hit escape to get out of there, I hit Shift F, then DF, it's going to actually open that up in a new tab. And was it GT to go forward and maybe G Shift T to go backwards in this one? Yes. So let's just say I open up another Shift F SG, Shift F J, and then GT 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 G Shift T G Shift T. And sometimes you can say like G2T. That opened up two tabs. I was expecting it to go forward. So in a lot of these, when I'm down here, I hit X, it'll delete that. Sometimes it's D. I'm not sure in this one because it's not an actual browser. It's just Firefox plugin, if I hit shift, like if I get out of here, control, then I could probably come in here and see like how to delete. Can I search inside here? Or close, maybe close a tab. Close current tab is X, and shift X is to restore the tab, which I guess it doesn't work in a new tab. So here I hit X and it deletes that particular tab I'm in. Shift X brings it back, kind of like Shift T would have. And so Control W will still work in these things, but just know I can hit X to delete this, X to delete this, Shift X to bring them back. Let's say if I hit, I don't know if I showed this, Shift G goes in, GG goes to the top. I'd probably say like 40 GG, and it'll take me to the 40 line. So let's say like maybe 20 GG, 20 Shift G. It's probably still, so let me go like 10 Shift G or 10 GG. There we go. So it's GG in this particular one. So let's just say 40 GG takes me down there. When I hit 20, it's probably because the 20th line or whatever it's thinking of is still on the page right here. So maybe if I hit 25 GG, it would have scrolled up a little bit. Let's say 30 GG. Nope. 50 GG. 50 GG. No. Was it 50 GG because I didn't escape? 50 G. Oh, because I'm saying 50 and not 10. Sorry. 10 GG. 100 GG. 1 GG, take me to the top of the line, let's say. But GG would have done that also. Yeah, whatever. Like, I just want to show that Vim keys aren't just for Vim. And to prove this a little bit more, I'm not on a Linux box, but let's say I was on a Linux box, I could go install DWB. Oh, maybe I should say browser there, huh? And then this is an actual browser that uses Vim keys, okay? And then, oh, well, another thing to know is auto hotkey, like this that I just showed you is really cool with auto hotkey because you can script all kinds of stuff you normally couldn't script in the regular Firefox without these things. While I'm showing you this, there's a little quirk in Firefox that I haven't seen in other browsers, let's say, and I just know there's a real table here. Conversions, and then let's see, this particular chart right here. In most browsers, and if I come over here, let's say I only want these lines right here on this one row, kind of like we were doing in Vim earlier, right? It's highlighting all these. If I hit Control, notice that it's only highlighting this. So now if I hit Control C, and let's say I was back in Vim, let's say, oh, okay, so Tmux. Tmux attach will bring me back to the last Tmux I was in, or just Tmux A. And then now, not only am I back inside Tmux, but I'm also in the Tmux that I had running, which also is on site a server right here, which I'll try to show in a minute. But while I have that copied, let's say, if I was to come in Vim and hit I, then I can paste that. And another thing to keep in mind, newer Vims aren't too big about this, but especially older Vims, if that was some like HTML code or something that I copied, let's just say like, okay, so I showed you I could copy that line, right? I want to make sure I did. So, okay, I copied that line, let's say. I'll just leave that there for a second. I doubt I'll do anything with it, but oh, well, I'm thinking about it because I forgot what I was going to say. Let's just say I have a heading 1, and then, no, let's just say Tmux. I'm talking about Tmux. And then down here I'm talking about Emacs, actually. And down here I'm talking about Vim, let's say. So if I was to come over here on this line and hit YYP, it deletes that. But if I just hit Shift V R, replace the character, but since it's Shift V, it's going to replace them all. And then like I could put a little dash right here. And so then, I don't think I covered this earlier. I'm on this line, O goes down and puts me in insert mode, but Shift O would put me in insert mode above the line I'm on. So O to come down here and say blah about Tmux, and then come down here, and then right here I'll just say like YYP Shift V R dash, and then say Emacs is trash and too slow, let's say, and then Shift G to come down here, DD to delete that, YYP Shift V R dash, and say Vim is super fast. I call it boom, 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 boom. So that's how I think of Vim. I'm trying to write the file because I'm used to it. I always save stuff after everything, and there's nothing to write to. If I wanted to open up another file, I could say like E, and then I can open up multiple files in Vim. I'm in Tmux, so A lot of times I kind of ditched a lot of the different Vim stuff, splitting screens and stuff like that inside Vim, because I can just do that real quick inside here also. And then hit exit, let's say. Now, notice also, there was something else I was going to say in here, but I guess who cares? I just wanted to show you that actually, to begin with, coming in here, was that I can paste. I can not paste, but I can copy in Firefox. Most other browsers don't do that, though. Then one other thing I'll show you, because I got sidetracked. How many of these things do I even have open? That Vim plugin's inside this one too. So I get, what was it? Was it T to open a new tab? And then go to Google real quick before I forget what I was going to say again. There's one other one called Lua Kit. This is built in Lua. It's like really extensible. I want to say at one time Lua Kit was really cool, and then the guy quit working on it. Maybe he started working on it again, or other people started using it. So for these Vim things, these Vim browsers come and go, and then maybe someone picked it up, because I still see people using it, and it's sitting right here. But just know for a while it didn't, so I ditched it. And then I think that's when I went to DWB. So this is another super extensible with Lua Vim browser that's used to be nice. DWB used to be nice, but I don't know if they're keeping up with that or if it's trash now too. There was an old plugin, Vimperator, I think. Oh, this was really weird. I mean, it was really nice too, but it did weird stuff with bookmarks that people didn't like and stuff. The way it did a lot of stuff people were offended by, I guess. A long time ago, I want to say there was one called Conqueror browser. I could be spelling that wrong. And not to be confused with this Conqueror. So it might be with a K, let's say. And it used something called Zero Runner to its keys. Oh, here it is. This Conqueror right here. So if I could spell it the right way. I hate the way stuff highlights on the web nowadays. Like the old HTMLs were so much better for like highlighting what I want real quick without grabbing the whole page or something. This was a really cool Emacs keyboard driven one using Zero Runner, like I put in there to find this actual page. And I want to say like Firefox Nappy plugin. In Pappy, I always just call them Nappy, so I call them wrong. At some point they banned these. They quit using these, and it killed a lot of people's stuff, and now there's new ways to make their extensions or plugins or whatever. And Conqueror died back then, so just know there was a cool Emacs-ish one that was really powerful. Maybe more powerful in some ways than some of these other ones, because it was using Zero Runner. I don't really want to get into Emacs too much at the very second, but Emacs has all kinds of weird stuff. But there's a browser right now that's kind of new. I hope it doesn't disappear. This has potential to be the most powerful browser that the web's ever seen, in my opinion. It's kind of buggy, and I try to run it on WSL, and I'm using WSL 1 though, so I think WSL 2 possibly could work better, because there's a download, let's say. There's no Windows port for the longest time. It's been around for a couple of years, maybe 1 or 2 years. 2 years-ish, maybe going on 3 years, I don't know. And then for Windows, the WSL, you can get this, but it just runs too slow. And I compiled it myself. It ran really slow. I use this one, and although it runs and it's quicker, it crashes way more. And possibly I was using WSL 2. It might be better, but that one I just advise using Linux distro at the moment, I guess. But yeah, this is like using Common Lisp, and I don't know. You can research that yourself. No, I guess because I'm actually in Visual Studio at the moment. Do I even care if I mess up this file at the moment? Let's just come in here. Now, what I want to show, I guess, maybe it's better to start a new file. I don't know how to use all this Visual Studio stuff, but can I just do a blank file? C++ file is cool? Okay. I was testing some stuff out and was messing with that stuff from Emacs actually, but there's this dude, Handmade Hero, that made some really cool videos. When I first found it, I want to say there was like 30 videos, and then there was 300. The next time I looked, now there's like 600. I think it might be finished. It's like a game by Molly Rocket, or Rocket Molly, I think maybe like Molly Rocket or Rocket Molly. And what I did here is there's extensions, manage extensions. Now, I haven't used this program in 15 years, let's say. And there used to be Vim plugins that were decent. And so this is the one that I happen to install. So here's just another reason why I want to talk about Vim, I guess. Screw the shortcuts and stuff you can do. Normally, whenever I'm inside this, then I'm going to be running around like this, right? But because I installed that plugin, and now I'm hitting J and K inside Visual Studio, and hit W and 0 and $sign and DD and D2D to use these Vim keys inside Visual Studio. Any decent editor, as far as I'm concerned, if it's a decent editor, it has some type of Vim plugin. And they're all going to be different, just like those Vim browsers I showed you, like X and D and Shift D and Shift X, and all these things are going to do different things. But J and K, most of the basic commands will be the same, but everybody thinks of something different. Because like, if I'm trying to make a Vim keyboard-driven browser, should O open up a new tab? Because O means open up a new line. So Shift O could mean open up a new tab in the background, let's say, right? And then the next guy might come along and say, well, T should be to open a new browser, and Shift T should be opening a new tab in the background type of deal, like you saw over here in this other one, this Vimperator one that I was working on. And this right here was open before the other one, so it doesn't actually have the Vimperator stuff installed in it right now, but this one did. So T opens it up, but like LuaKit or Qt Browser is another one actually. Qt Browser, it's O and Shift O to open up, like I was talking about a minute ago. I just thought about something else in this thing, but I forgot what it was going to be. So just keep that in mind. Now, considering that this is a Vim plugin, let's say, and all kinds of stuff are, what about this right here? If I was to say like test equal, or just make it so it's not code. Joe said, hello, I am Joe. And then remember before I could hit T double quote or single quote in the last one. And then now I can say like D Shift T double quote. And notice that command sitting here, and now X to delete this one. And then I and put blah, blah, blah in here, right? Undo, undo, undo. Does Control R redo? No. So this is one of the catches where something's intercepting that command. So keep that in mind. You can make it choose, though. When it first installed, it asked me a lot of commands if I wanted to use the Vim style or the Visual Studio style. So all the ones they kind of had a confliction, I just told it to choose Visual Studio because I figured there might be some command I need to learn inside there or whatever. But also the CIWs, when those in Vim, if those text objects are turned off, this command wouldn't work. But does it work inside here? So if I say CIW CI double quote blah 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 blah, it did do it. And keep in mind too, if I was to say CI double quote, it deletes everything inside the double quotes. But let's say I want to change this whole thing that's quoted into single quotes and something else. Then I'd say CA double quote, and then I could hit space and then put the single quote there, blah 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 blah, hit escape, YYP 10p. Yeah, like it's really cool that this stuff's working. But what about the crazy stuff I was doing in Emacs Mode? Could this actually work inside here? And I was trying it yesterday because I installed it yesterday, and guess what it does? So here I could say %s/Joe Sally. Booyah. Super cool to be able to use this. Like, does this one work? If I was to come over here and say Control A, oh, it highlights everything. And Vim, that would have incremented this to 1, 2, 3, 4, like I was doing earlier with those hex numbers. D Shift G, D, GG, get rid of all that junk. I don't care about it. And if I wanted to save this file, then escape W, save the file. I don't know if WQ will quit, but yes, it did. So look at that. Inside Visual Studio, I'm using Vim commands. Do not think that Vim commands are just for Vims, all I'm trying to say to you. Yeah, it's cool all those commands work, but what's cooler is they work all over the place. Qt Browser, really cool thing that I had to use one time when I was scripting with auto hotkey browser. At least it'll correct it for me, right? If I could have used Emacs commands in there, I would have changed it. But another thing to pay attention to is Control L brings me to there, so I could just hit End and Control backspace to start get rid of words if I was changing tickets or something, let's say. And keep in mind, Control E, if I hit Control L when I'm in the Windows browser, it does the same thing. So I could say C, learn, for instance, and then go to books and blah, 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 blah. There's just a couple books that are in this machine. Control L, I can go around and do all this stuff to go somewhere else. So these little weird or quirky things that different browsers and different things do. I want to say if I was inside of here and I hit Control L, if I hit Control E, I'm down here. So another thing to keep in mind too, I guess, just the way I kind of run around a lot of times, Control E will switch you to the other thing. Let's say if I'm in Control L and then I hit Control E. I guess that's this one. Well, which one is it that's that one? Sorry, I haven't used Windows in so long. Just know there is a command that when you're inside here, you can hit and it actually takes you over here. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Anyway, let's say I'm down here. So this is the way I normally do stuff, C, and then I'll come over here and I'm just going to go to my C drive. I'm automatically going to be in the window I want to be when I do that. And so now if I just type learn, I'm going to jump to that folder, and then I can say like Lisp and hit enter, and then I can hit gitted stuff and then hit enter, backspace to go back, ribbit to go to ribbits folder, back, pix to go to pix folder, go back, my proj. And so actually these right here are a good example. So if I go home to go to the top and see Lisp web, so if I start typing Lisp web, see, since I hit that match, it jumped all the way down past the other Lisps. Whenever you mess that up, though, let's say I was trying to say Lisp web. Let me get the cursor out of that way, because it's annoying me at the moment. If I was to say Lisp web, but I accidentally messed up and I only got to the first one, let's say. Did it not like that I did that? Okay, so something to keep in mind, it wanted me to keep my cursor in that box for what I'm trying to do. So home again. I'm trying to get to Lisp web, but I mistype on LIS, let's say. It took me to the first one. I can wait a couple seconds and I can try again. Lisp web. Messed up again. And so I can just hit L to go to the next one. But anytime there's a little pause between that, so if I just hit L, 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 there's not, right? But if L, L, L will toggle me through those. But Lisp, and then I was trying to get to the other one, I hit escape real quick. I can say Lisp W and it'll jump me down there as it just did. So just know you can jump anywhere just by typing them. And the reason I'm saying this is if you're going to start learning AutoHotkey, this type of stuff is really cool to know. I want to change the directory I'm in. I can hit end and still be in learn and then go into like tickets or something, let's say. So Alt F4 to get rid of that window because it doesn't matter. Qt browser, what was cool about it is if I go like this, well, if I come down to the document and I Control F, I'm inside well, Control F should work the regular Firefox way, let's say. And then I say Qt. Qt. Notice that it highlights where I want to be. And if I hit enter, it takes me to the next one. If I hit escape, then Qt is highlighted, but the cursor's not where I want to be. I can't move my cursor around like as if I was in Notepad or Vim, let's say. In the Qt browser, whenever I search like this, if I was to type Qt and hit enter, it's actually going to put a cursor right here. And then I can start moving the cursor around. And so then I can start highlighting like if I was in Notepad, let's say. Because don't think that Vim and all these things, whatever. If I hold down Control, hit right, then I can do kind of the similar things. If I control down and hit Shift, I can kind of do the similar things. It's just not as powerful. End and home, end and Control B. So there's shortcuts for all these different things. The more quirks you know, the cooler and more convenient your AutoHot scripts can not only do, but the more powerful they can be in some ways. So I think that's enough of Vim stuff. I should probably quit, but whatever. Y'all can quit watching it, I guess. Okay, so now I'm inside Emacs. So, inside Emacs. I'm inside Tmux. So, Control B, L, switches my... Okay, so I'm actually in a server right now, too. So notice inside here, notice this other one's different, because I always make all my servers different colors. Like the server I care about the most is red, just so I always know I'm inside there. So Control B, L is doing the bottom ones right here, right? So if I was to say Control B, C, I'm going to open up a new terminal on my Windows machine running WSL inside Debian, inside Tmux. So if I was to say Control B, C again, I open up another window. Notice it's the little stars where I'm at. Control BL means go to the last one. I want to say Control BN means go to the previous. Control BN next, sorry. Control BN next. Control BN next. Oops, Control BN next. Control BP, Control BP, Control BP, right? So on this one I can say Control B %. It splits one way. There's different ways to get out of here. I always use exit. It's just the best thing for me. But Control B double quote will open up a new window. So I can be over here doing one thing. Control B O will go back over here to the other one. So I can just toggle between open panes, these are called. Control B C opens a window, let's say. Type exit. Control B double quote would open up another one of these. Another way to kill these windows is Control D. It'll kill a pane. If I also say Control B C and then hit Control D, it'll kill that window, not just a pane. And then it's going to kill all the panes first, let's say. And then if there's only one pane, it'll kill the window. And then Control B %. You can change these to whatever you want. There's another thing called screen, and screen is using Control A to do this stuff, and Tmux is using Control B. And the reason that's like that is the guy who made Tmux was inside screen, or else he probably would have chose Control A because he was already using Tmux, obviously, if he made Tmux inside screen. Now in this particular case, I can say Control B O. Oops, Control B O, Control B O to toggle around in a circle, just going clockwise. But you can also say Control B and use arrow keys. And then another thing you can do is hit Control BQ, and it's going to blink numbers real quick. So if I wanted to go to this window right here, I say Control BQ2, and then I'm down here. If I was to say Control BQ1, I'm over here. If I was to say Control BQ0, I'm over here. All right, so this just means I can do different things, whatever, in different windows. Who cares? I'll just hit Control D to get out of that one. And maybe it doesn't like that because that line's not empty. That's the case. Like I said, I don't use that. I always type exit. Okay, so now you see I am in the first window where the star is, which is why I don't like this bar to be green even though it's twice as thick, is because I want to know just by the color down there without having to pay attention to is where I'm at. So if I was to say Control BL, well, in this case I'm going to hit Control B1 because this is the one. So I could say Control B2, Control B0, Control B1 is going to switch me to this one right here. This is a different server, let's say, and this is why it's this green bar right there. This username is Ribbit, and Ribbits are green even though they're not this green. There was already a green, so I took a different green, let's say. And then, but now if I was to say, notice all these windows right here. So what if I want to get back to SBCL or Emacs right here, or Ed, or whatever I happen to be doing at the moment? Let's say Control BB0. Now this is going to be inside here, so now I'm inside a Lisp interpreter, let's say. So I could say plus 10, 20, 30. And then if I was to say Control BB1, I'm actually inside Emacs. This is running a web server, like there's a little favicon icon and stuff. I don't know if I want to jack around in this Emacs, but maybe I'll show Emacs in a minute, let's say. But anyway, now notice that I'm on the local machine in this Tmux. I'm on the server in this Tmux. If I was to say Control B double quote, now I'm on the local machine, right? I'm at Ribbit Crib. So if I was to say Control BO, then I'll switch to the other window just like I was over here, but now I'm actually on the server. So if I was to say Control BO over here, Control BO, Control BO, I'm switching windows. What am I talking about? Control B double quote. Once again, I'm on my local machine doing these things. Even it doesn't matter what window I'm in because of the Tmux. So I'm up in this window. I hit Control B %. This split is my local machine once again, right? But if I was to say Control BB %, now I'm actually inside the server sitting over there. And then same thing if I was to say Control BZ, I'm going to zoom in on this window right here and Control BZ. So Control BO, I say Control BZ. This window that I'm in is Control BZ means zoom. It zoomed in on this particular Tmux window. And I hit Control BZ again, it unzooms that. If I hit Control BO, because I'm inside Tmux locally, it's controlling this Tmux window in a separate pane, let's say. And so now if I was to come over here and say control BB, double quote, now I'm on the server over here. And then control BO is getting back and forth between these two windows. Control BZ would zoom this window. Control BO going to bring me back to this other window over here, right? So, but now if I was to say control BBO, it takes me to this window up here. Control BBO takes me to this window over here. So I can be in control B0, go back to the other server, control B, double quote, let's say, and then now I have two windows over here. Control BBC will create a new tab down here on the server, where control BL, I'm on this other server, and then here if I was to say control BBC, notice a fifth one came over here. So I can be in as many servers as I want and control them inside the same tmux sessions, and then at any time control BZ is not going to do anything for that zoom, right? Because these are local panes that I'm inside. But if I was to come over here and split that window, control BB, double quote, let's say, now control BBZ will zoom that window right there. If I was to say control BB %, let's say, control BBZ is now going to do this one. If I was to say control BBZ, it unzooms this. But if I was to say control BZ, now I'm just inside that whole thing in the server, where control BZ would take me back to the other one. But now I could say control BZ and then control BBZ, which isn't much different, but it's doing that on the server, let's say. You can rename these things, you can make sessions, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff in Tmux. That's just the basics of getting around in Tmux. I guess in Emacs though, or inside Bash, the catch is, if I was inside control BC over here, and I say like word 2, Alt B and Alt F and Control F are cool, but Control B is getting intercepted by Tmux, so I have to Control B again. So Control BB. Well, every two Control B's will take me back one word, or one character, I'm sorry. But if I also say Control BL and get back to where I was on the server now, then Control B will take me one. So it takes 4 Control B's to get over, which is kind of annoying. In that case, I would just say Alt B and then Control F and go forward or something. So it's just something to keep in mind. In Screen, it's a little bit different because Control A without the control key would take me to the front of the line. So it's a little more forgiving if you're inside Emacs. Possibly the guy that made Screen was inside Emacs, and that's why he chose Control A, because can I show that? Control B 0, let's say. What was this server? Does the server have Screen on it? And it does. So Control AC. I normally don't nest these. If I'm in a server and I'm doing web development on another server, then I'll run Screen inside Tmux because it just makes it real easy in that one Tmux pane to be able to switch around locally on the server, SFTP on the server, and then actually inside the server in one little pane inside Tmux, and can Control BZ and zoom this in, and then just Control A2, Control A0, Control A1 to get around, which you can't really see because I didn't have nothing type. If I was to say Control A2 here, and then do it ls minus AL, let's say, and then say Control A0, Control A1, Control A2. And same thing, like Control AD is going to detach. And then, for whatever reason, whoever runs the server, it's just like utemp blah 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 is not removed every time you exit. But it doesn't matter because in Screen it's Screen minus R to reattach. And so I can be inside here doing things, I guess. Oh, what I was trying to show, why am I in Screen? Because Control A and then A without the K brings me to the front of the line. And that's a lot more forgiving, right? Because if you ever want to go to the front of the line, you just hit Control A and then A without control. You jump to the front of the line real quick. But if I also say Control BBC, and now I'm inside that same server that the Screen was running, but in a different Tmux pane, then I will show you one more time, is Control B, Control B, Control B, Control B. See how much less forgiving that is, I guess. That's all that matters, I guess. And so then, why would Tmux be, or not Tmux, but now let's just come over here, and then I'm going to say Control, you know what, let me just run a new Emacs, actually. I don't want to taint the Emacs over there, and there's all so much stuff over there. So, I can say Alt-X PWD, it'll show where I'm at. So, notice I'm in C, Windows, whatever. So it doesn't matter. I don't really want to be in there, let's say. So I could just say Alt X CD and then Control A, Control K, and then C, and then I'll go to Learn. Let's just say just something in a different folder. Now if I say Control X, Control F, it'll open up a new file, and I can name it whatever I want. I could make this a text file, let's say. Now, there's also by default a scratch pad that opens up. So to switch buffers, kind of like over here, Control B O, but inside here, I can open up another window, let's say. So Control XB will let me switch buffers, and there's one called Scratch. And so I'll just come in here real quick, just to show you the difference between a text file, I guess. And notice Scratchpad by default. Lisp has major modes and minor modes. The minor mode I'm in right now is Lisp Interaction LDoc. So this is like what you can think of as an eLisp mode. Let's just claim, I don't know the numbers, but a small percentage of Emacs is written in C. The rest of it's written in Emacs Lisp. So in Emacs, those same bash commands that we were talking about before, so Alt B, Alt F, Control A, Control K, Control Y. Now, in Emacs, it's a little bit different than Vim. In Vim, when I hit YY, it's yanking a line onto the clipboard, right? But just keep in mind, the reason we're not using copy is because Vim and Emacs were both invented before the terms copy and paste were a thing. Obviously in Vim, P was a thing because P is paste, but Y was yanking to the clipboard and P was pasting off the clipboard, let's say. In Emacs, it's a little different. You Control K to kill the line. You Control Y to yank it off the kill ring, which you can think of as like a clipboard with multiple places you can copy to, and you can grab them out of them. Actually, Vim does too. So like Vim has registers you can use, so you can name your copies different things like that. But I won't show that. You can look into that yourself. But what is kind of cool about, I guess, like Vim is, if I'm on this particular line and for some reason I know I'm going to come back there, I can say MA and I mark it with an A. And then down here, if I ever say single quote A, it takes me back to that. So single quote A will always take me to that MA. And I can say like MZ and mark this with a Z. And anytime I'm anywhere, I can say like quote A to get to this line and quote Z to get to that line. So that's kind of convenient. Since I was in Vim, I just thought about something. So Control A, a lot of times, let's say I want to copy this line. The easiest way is wherever you're at, hit Control A, go to the front line. Hit Control K to kill that line. Control Y and just paste it back real quick. And so I could say Control Y, let's say, right? And you can prefix your commands inside here. Control N and Control P are to go up and down. And then, but the same type of thing I was doing earlier is I can hit Control X, R, T, and then blah. It's going to replace that stuff sitting there. So right here, the reason it did that is because I didn't highlight anything. So I can highlight this right here and then hit Control X, R, T, blah. And then Control G is how you get out of there. Control XO is to go down here, hit Q to get out of that stupid window that I just made pop up. So the same thing here is, if I'm right here, then I could say start highlighting, Control space, that's to start highlighting. And then notice it matters where I start highlighting. It said it made a mark, and then where I stop highlighting. And if I hit Control X, R, T, yes, blah, enter, then I can add text inside there like that. I was talking about killing these and putting them back. I think I wanted to show something else. But I want to say like Alt 4, Control Y. Control Y has Y's all of a sudden. So Alt 4, Control Y. Control U. 4, Control Y. I don't know why it's... I thought it was Control U and Alt that could do that. It could be the mode I'm in, I guess, but still. If I was to say Control space, Control E, and then Control W will cut. Control underscore will undo. Control space will start highlighting. Control A would go to the front of the line. Alt W would copy. So copies that to the clipboard. There's clipboards and Vims. Like if you're on Windows, it's one. It's one of those like copy registers I was talking about. I think it's like might be like this register on Windows and this register on Linux will copy to your actual operating system clipboard, but I won't try to get on there. In Emacs, it just automatically does that. Alt-4, Control-P. That's what I was trying to do with my paste, but for some reason it wasn't doing it. I wanted to try it like this, though. Like, and then if I was to say Control-U for Control-Y. No, it's just not doing it. Well, just know you can prefix commands too. So it's Alt-4, Control-P, Alt-2, Control-N if I want to prefix commands. Probably like Control-W is to go to kill. Alt-F is to go forward. Alt-B is to go backwards. I'm starting working in Vim and Emacs back and forth, and I get confused sometimes. So Alt-2, Alt-F. I hit Control-F. Alt-2, Alt-F would bring me forward 2 words. Now, what's cool is, since so much of Emacs is actually written in Emacs Lisp, let's say, that you can describe keys. So, like if I was to say describe key, I can tab complete here. So describe, as soon as it's unique, K. And then now it's saying, what do I want to describe? And I was using Control-P to go up and down. So what does that mean actually? And so to describe that key, Control-P runs the command previous line. Okay, so okay, I didn't know if my mouse is turned on in here or not. So when I hit Control-N, when there's extra lines down there, I'll just put some lines down there so we can see them. So Control-P, go up a line. You notice that this is the command when it's running. It's found in this particular location, which is located in this particular eLisp file, let's say. And then it's saying like previous line and optional argument. So let's just try previous. Well, before I do that, if I was to say plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here, and if I say Control-X, Control-E at the end of a S expression, which this right here is a S expression, a complete expression that Lisp can read, Control-X, Control-E, notice down here that it put a calculation, it put it in octal, it put it in hex, and I couldn't tell you what that one means. So something even I don't know. So, but since I'm in an eLisp buffer, if I hit Control-J, it'll actually put it over there. If I was to Control-XB back over to this text file right here, right? And then say like times 10, 10, 100, 1000 or something, and say Control-XE. Notice it still can calculate that down there. But if I hit Control-J, Control-J means enter key. So in a text file, it doesn't mean anything. Probably the same thing if I get into enter mode over here and I hit Control-J. Control-J means enter key. If I go over to that server and hit Control-BBC and I'm on the command line and hit Control or LSA, Control-J, it's the enter key. So just keep that in mind too, that different keys can be different things and different things. Also, let's say in Vim, the escape key is how I get out of that mode. But back when Vim was created, there was no such thing as a tab key. So escape key is actually what the tab key is. And think how convenient tab is to hit. So when you think, oh, escape key is annoying to hit, just know when it was invented, the tab key is where escape was, let's say. And so I know people who will map their tab key to be escape. A lot of Emacs people map their caps lock key to be their control key. That one's still kind of funky though. If you hit Control-A with the same hand, I think it's even worse than the normal one now. So what was I trying to say? Let me get back into the Emacs buffer, or does it matter? Because this buffer is still down here. So maybe I'll just show it in this line right here, right? So what's cool about this, I guess, is you can see one is this is calling previous line. So what happens if I say previous line? And then notice it wants an argument right here. So if I come over here and say Control-XE, that's an optional argument. This optional means I don't have to have the argument there. So Control-XE, what's that do? It runs that command actually. So I could say next line, and then if I said Control-XE, notice how I have to hit Control-E and then Control-XE. So I'll just cheat. And then by making these the same thing, I can hit Control-XE even though there's spaces there and it doesn't care. So Control-XE back and forth, all it's going to do is run Control N and Control P, right? So maybe if I said next line, well, I don't know if there's any next lines, there's not, but if I was to say previous line 2, Control E, Control X E, notice it moved up 2 lines. And Emacs, Shift Alt less than goes to the top of the file, and Shift Alt greater than goes to the end of the file over here, let's say. So I could also say go up 10 lines, let's say, Control X E, and then I'll go up 10 lines. Well, what's cool about this too is if I come over here and I'll click on this, this is why Vim's the fastest, Emacs is the most extensible. So when I clicked on this, it brought me exactly where this was. And since this is Emacs, I could come over here inside this function, let's say, and then, now I mess up that. So maybe Emacs would work, maybe it wouldn't, but the previous line's definitely not going to work anymore. So Control X, K, let me rephrase that, Control X, then K without the control, will kill the buffer. And so I hit enter. It's saying it's been modified. Are you sure you want to kill it? Yes, because I don't want to save that thing, because I might mess up my Emacs if I did that. And then inside here, I guess you could define a function. I'm not really familiar with, I don't even know E list, but I was showing someone this the other day, Mr. E. And it's, I played with common Lisp a little bit, and so I was just guessing to see. So I'm going to say like Froggy, let's say. And then I can give it some num. And then come over here. It's not indenting my code because it's in a text buffer. So in this particular case, maybe I'll go back to my buffer just so you can see like the auto indentation. Defund Froggy, and then say some num, let's say, and then we'll say what's it call? It calls next line. And then give it some num here. And then I guess I could try to put another command there. Like, so I'm in the middle of this command, but I want to know another command. And when I hit Control E, it goes to the end of the line, let's say, right? So let's say describe key. And then Control E goes to the end of the line, right? So now we see move end of line arg. Notice there's no optional here, which means I have to put something in here. So let's just see what happens when I don't. I'm going to say move end of line, and then if I close this, I don't know if you can tell, but it's highlighting that last parentheses up there. It's closing this function. So Control XE would, let's say, make this function exist. It'll create this function, and then I can call it later. But I don't even know if my command's right, and so I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is just put a couple spaces here, and then come over here and hit Control XE. If it works, it's going to go to the end of the line, and if it doesn't, it's going to give me an error. So it's going to jump into a debugger automatically, and it's telling me wrong number of arguments, and then it's kind of showing me some stuff it's expecting. So I don't exactly know, but then notice that this is actually move end of line T. It's just showing like the stuff, it's interactive and blah, 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 blah. When I'm in this window, I can hit Q to just quit out of there. And so what happens if I say move end of line 0, Control XE. Oh, notice that said move end of line, but put me at the end of the line at the previous window. So what happens if I say 1, go to the end, Control E, Control X, Control E. Notice that here, it moved me to the actual end of the line right here. So that's the one I wanted. And if I was to say move end of the line 2, let's say, Control E to get to the end of the S expression and Control XE to run it, it moved down too. Okay, so cool. So what I want to do is put 1 there, which I want to say I can put nil here also in this particular case. And notice that works. So we could use 0 or nil. Nil is false. T is true. Now I can compile this function by closing it and Control XE. And then notice at the bottom, it just letting me know it created that function called Froggy. Now I can say, yeah, that's correct, Froggy, and then give it a number, I guess. and then hit Control XE. Move down 2. What happens if I say -4, let's say, and then go to the end and Control XE. And notice it's at the end of the line. Or if I didn't put the end of the line, it would have been, it probably would have just, wherever my cursor was, where it would put me up right here probably. Because, notice, if there's not there, it would have went here, and then it would have went here, went here, right here on the same line. Like wherever I was when I ran my function was right here. So my cursor would have moved here. And I guess we can prove that by killing that line, Control K, come over here and close the function here, Control XE, and just on the fly, we'll just say Control XE, and then notice it's not at the end of the line, but there's no spaces there to see. So what I could do is change this to 3, let's say. Control E, Control XE, and there you go. So that's the power of, let's say, Lisp, is you could just create this stuff on the fly, and I don't know, if I come back over here to my text buffer, can I call Froggy, let's say. And so, oops, we had to give it a number, didn't we? So let's just put 3, since we have 3 lines there, Control XE. And there you go, my functions throughout my whole little Lisp interpreter sitting here, I created it inside of. And once again, move end of line. If I actually want to see the code for that, then here's the code. So it takes an argument, it's not optional, so it has to be put there. And then this is what it's doing. So it's setting it into interactive mode. And then this is a let. A let lets all these variables, these are local variables instead of being global variables. Where this let opens all the way to where the let closes is going to be local for this right here, new position. Control X, K without a control key, and then I can kill that buffer. So that is why Emacs is cool. If you never use Emacs, it's cool, because if you use Bash, it's cool to know a couple commands, and some of your commands, if you're used to using Bash keys, are going to work in Emacs, so you know Emacs a little bit and vice versa. Vim is cool because you can use it inside Visual Studio, you can use it inside your browsers, and you can use it inside browsers that don't even have Vim keys built in, like Qt Browser, LuaKit, DWB, Uzlb, and all these other ones that are sitting out there. Or you can just go to Chrome. So like, let's say if I was to say Chrome, I want to install it. But if I was to say like Chrome Vim extension, let's say, and here's Vimium, so I've used this one actually. It's similar to the one I was just using, but like I said, some of the keys are going to be different. I don't know if it has like what the keys are or something. Read more maybe, it'll show you what they are. YY, copy the current URL to the clipboard. YF, copy a link URL to the clipboard, which is, when I hit F earlier, it highlighted those things. So if I hit YFF, then it would have copied whatever URL was highlighted into the clipboard, and then GF to go to the next frame, basically the next tab probably. And here you see the other one was T. Well, this is the bookmarks actually. So how do you open a new tab maybe? So open a link in a new tab is Shift F here, right? But remember, F's in the other one was meant follow link. So here's where it's different. But what's F mean? It means forward inside F. I don't know. Like, what does it mean in Vim? I was thinking of Emacs for a second. So F is how you're opening up these tabs. If you just type GS, you view the source, which maybe the other one has, but who cares? You can view the source. Slash to find stuff like I was looking at. I guess I didn't show that in Vim. That's cool of red. So if I was to come over here and whatever is inside here, word, and then I'll say word, and then I'll say word one more time, and then I'll say blah, 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 blah. Now, if I was to put a slash, like I'm above the W, so I'm just going to use slash. Slash words, going to find the words. And the cursor's on the first one. N will take me to the next one, and Shift N will go backwards. So Shift N cycles through the thing it matched backwards, and N does it forward. But let's say I was already down here. If I was already down here, and once again, no H for no highlight, question mark word will search backwards, so it's going to find the first one right here rather than the first one right here. I guess it was the last one, but it was the first one towards where my cursor was. It's going backwards. So D3K, get rid of those lines. Right here, I could say like D2J to delete 2 lines down, but I could undo that and say D2D. The J one will delete the line you're on and then 2 underneath it, I guess. Does there anything else even matter? Yeah, a lot of stuff does, but it's more important just to see, I guess, what Vim can do. And more importantly, where Vim could be at. Like, it was inside here, and you saw those crazy commands I was running. And then I want to say, there was a long time ago when this first came out, I played with it. I don't know if it's 2Gs or not, I guess. But coding game, I think it could be 1 or 2 or both, maybe. What coding game? Is this the right one? I think so. This is running inside the sandboxy. Then I have no script running. And then I also have uBlock Origin running. So there's a lot of stuff to get around. And I don't know if I can change the settings or not. I don't even know if it's still here because I haven't played with it since it first came out. I don't want to install anything. Can I still play your game? Yes, I don't want no missions. Let's skip tutorials. Now notice inside this editor, blah, 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 I'm sitting inside here. And I don't know if I can change settings or not. I don't know if they're still here. But just to show you, oh, look at this. Not only do they have Vim, now they have Emacs too. So probably if I was to switch into Emacs mode, do I have to save that? And now if I start typing, because Emacs I don't have to hit any keys, if I hit Control A, it's highlighting everything. So am I in Emacs mode? I don't know. Maybe not all commands are the same. Will Alt F take me forward? Nope. So I'm not sure. So I've never used their Emacs commands. I don't care. Like, I was trying to shut this off for Vim, not Emacs anyway. Let's just see. Oh, it's not working actually. Escape. Escape. Am I hitting the wrong keys? I wonder how I get out of escape mode in here. Well, oh, you want to know what it is? This Vimium, I bet you anything, is interacting with my Vim keys I'm trying to do inside there. I wonder if I can turn it off. Does it say exclude this site? Will that have excluded my thing? I'm still in insert mode. Do I have to refresh that page for that to work? So, let me see if I go to a different browser. Or, let me get out of here. I probably should have tested this stuff. It's been since that thing first came out that I played with it. I did have a browser that Vimium wasn't in. No, it's in here too now. But maybe I had to actually reload that coding game, let's say. Control-Shift-T. I wonder if it kept that thing being excluded or not. If not, I'll open up in another browser. Skip the tutorial. Go to settings real quick. It's in Vim mode. And are these turned off? I don't think so. Oh, it is saying insert mode though. Huh. Well, I'll just try. What is it? codinggame.com. Get started. I mean, it doesn't matter if this works or not. It's not like I care, but it would have been nice to see if you can actually use Vim keys on this thing too or not. Yeah, they're just not working. Oh, well, apparently all that mess and all I had to do was make this bigger. So, insert, blah, 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 BBB, www, dd, y. Whoops, there's nothing to copy there. Yeah, could you please go away? I'm pretty sure that the actual super moves don't work down here though. Let's just see, like, if I was to say, let me just write some junk in here. Hello. Hello. And then say %s/. hello, W, oops. And actually it did work. It did work. So just to show that I can U to undo, YY3P, and then Control P did not work though. But up arrows, nope, they don't work either. So if I was to say that again and just say %s/hello W / bye G, and then switch those. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool that you can use these things. Oh, now that I'm thinking about it, if it's big, does the Emacs actually work too? So Control A, not working. I changed that and it worked last time. Control P, no, it's not working. Like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I just wanted to show the Vim keys off. I didn't know they have Emacs keys. And the weird little things you can pay attention to if you're going to start messing with auto hotkeys. Man, I should have done auto hotkeys in here too, but who knows how long this video already is. Maybe I'll make a separate video on auto hotkey stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's interesting or not, but lates.